Hi everyone, this is Charlie doing my video response to the book review. Sorry we're not in class. I would have rather been doing that and listening to everybody than trying to record videos, but I guess this will work for everybody. So the book I read was the Strengths-Based Leadership by Tom Rath and Barry Conchie. Uh, I had actually been introduced to the Strengths-Based Leadership. It's an assessment several years ago, and I picked up the book thinking it would be a good follow-up to that. And in all honesty, it is. If you don't know about strengths-based leadership, it looks at 34 defined strengths that leaders are imbued with. So this is kind of based on the trait or skills-based leadership theories, I think. And the idea is that you take this assessment and it will highlight the five strengths that you have and then give you ideas of how to interact with people using those strengths in the different day-to-day routine you may have. So overall, the book, it was a good book if you didn't understand anything about strengths-based leadership or that methodology from that assessment. One of the things, the book does explain it somewhat. It does go into detail of what each of the strengths is and gives you a good understanding of it. It's not your everyday or normal leadership type book. This one's very particular to the assessment, and the first chapter is really spent talking about the assessment and some of the opportunities that you have with it, how you can use it, and it does give you a chance to actually take the assessment. Part of the book gives you a code that you can take the assessment at the end. And then it goes into, there's 4 chapters or 4 sections where they look at leaders who have different strengths and how they apply that leadership in their day-to-day routines or in their leadership styles. So it's an interesting read as far as that goes. But again, it's not a broad leadership theory or a broad leadership, how-to or understanding. And then the last part of the book is a section on why followers follow. Kind of some of the stuff that we read in Nordhaus, I think, was he talked about following. And then the whole second half of the book is really dedicated to a deeper understanding of each one of the strengths and an explanation of how you can utilize that strength as you're going through the strengths finders, if that's what you do. And then there's a couple of sections in the book at the very end that also talk about the underlying research that was done to get them to strengths-based leadership and why these strengths were chosen. So it's not an academic book when you read it, but the Strengths Finder itself has a very academic basis. So that's kind of nice. I think the biggest disappointment in the book was that it really didn't talk a lot about Strengths Finder or the delving into how you'd utilize this. It really did it through more of a, here are some example kind of things rather than I guess a more in your face or a more direct approach. So I expected us to get more about strengths-based leadership, history of it, where it came from, the application of it, which I think they get to just in a roundabout way, just not what I kind of expected. I mean, overall, the book was organized fairly well. It was a good read. It was it's actually a fairly thick book. I think there's like 300 or 400 pages in it. If I look real quick, I want to say it's, oh, I'm sorry, it was not 300 or 400. It's about 270 pages, but only about half the book, the first 100, 120 pages, are about strengths-based leadership. And then a large portion of it is about the actual strengths and the definitions of those and how you would apply them. And then there's a section on, like I said, on the academics. It's a good book. It's a very light read. I think I thought it was going to take me a lot longer to read it, a couple days. It ended up taking me about 4 or 5 hours to read, from front to back. I'm also familiar with strengths-based leadership, the ideas and the concepts. I've taken the test before. There was a code included in the book, which I had started to, but I hadn't finished. I'll try and finish that up just to see if I've changed any of my strengths. In general, you can change somewhat over time as you develop and grow, but it's like a lot of other things. It's where they're kind of set. I wear glasses and I'm bald, and that's not going to change suddenly. But there are ways of improving things, and I think your strengths can change as that goes as well. So overall, I think the book was decent. If you don't know anything about strengths-based, or if you've taken a strengths-based test and you want to know a little bit more about it or understand the strengths themselves, it's not going to be oh my God, this is something I can go out and utilize right away. It's not like a conflict resolution or something along those lines. It's really a good understanding of the strengths-based assessment and giving you more details of how that would apply and what you can do with it. So from that perspective, the book did great. But for just generalized leadership, if you hadn't taken the strengths-based, it probably wasn't going to get you what you needed. Would I recommend it? Again, if you're interested in a strengths-based assessment and you took it and you want to know more about it, certainly. If you're looking for some help with just a problem you have or in generalized leadership, no, because it's not going to relate because you don't have the assessment to go along with it. And so it's not going to do, I think, what you might want. Anyway, that's kind of my book review. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you may take a look at it. And definitely, if you haven't ever done the strengths-based assessment, I think that's worthwhile doing. And then once you do that, then looking at the book would make more sense. So have a good one. Hope everybody was safe this week. And see you guys in class next month.